Good evening, dear friends. It's such a beautiful night, and I'm so happy that we are here. I am Lorelei Nassar, a dental surgeon and the person which launched the concept psychodentistry. And we have together with us a splendid friend of mine, a person which I'm so proud and happy to have in my life, Serge Beddington. Welcome, Serge.
Thank you, Lorelei, my dear friend. It's very nice to be speaking with you.
And we are going to talk about your latest book, which I'm so delighted I have the opportunity to read, Inner Work for Outer World. How come a transpersonal psychologist is writing about the whole world?
Well, actually, it's called Gateways to the Soul, Inner Work for the Outer World.
Sorry, my apologies.
And your question is, how come a psychotherapist is writing about a soul?
Yeah.
Well, because soul is the most important part of who we are. We're all souls, Lorelei. And Jung wrote a great book, Modern Man in Search of a Soul, is that we all have souls, but it's hidden inside us. In many of us, our souls are locked up in a little cage inside us. And we grow up and we just believe that we're our ego self. But that is why I argue our planet is in such a terrible state. And we need to find the keys to unlock the cabinet where our soul life lives, and then walk through the gateways into celebrating our soul life. So why I wrote about the soul is because our modern world has lost its soul. And when we lose our souls, we do things like we have wars, we treat our planet disgustingly, we become obsessed with power and wealth and fame and fortune, and we forget the things that are real about life. So, Lorelei, my book is, how can we bring a sacred space back into the way that we live our lives? In other words, how can I bring soul into my relationships, into my work as a psychotherapist, into my work as a healer, into my marriage, into my relationship with my daughter, into my relationship with my dog, into my relationship with all of the world around me. Because if we can do that, we can make a difference in the world, and we can feel full and joyful and fulfilled and abundant inside ourselves instead of miserable and unhappy.
So you're talking a lot while opening this gateway to the soul.
Yeah.
You're talking a lot about ensouling. What does this mean exactly?
Well, if I relate to you in an ensouling way, Lorelei, it means I see you as a soul. It means I open my soul and embrace you in that way, so that you will feel an extra something than if I just talk to you as being separate from me, and you're just an ego and I'm just an ego. So it's opening up a different space, a space that allows for healing, a space that allows for transformation, a space that allows the next step of evolution to flow. So I'm saying that we need to learn to be ensoulers of our world as opposed to destroyers of our world.
So
Does that make sense?
How do you do this precisely? I know this is the theme of the whole book, but in a couple of words, how can we act indeed through inner work to save the whole world? How do we do this?
Well, we can't give anybody or the world anything that we've not developed in ourselves. If I'm an unhappy person, I can't give you any happiness. So first, we have to find how to unlock our own soul life. And we do that in many ways. First, we realize that a soul is inside us. So we have an insight, we meditate, we quieten down, we do kind things to other people, and we connect to our creativity, and we connect to the depth of our being. When you and I go deep, and we may go deep through music, through our conversation together, through literature, through our relationship, when we go deep, soul begins to emerge. So it's nothing to do with religion. People often think, oh, I'm not a Christian or a Buddhist or a Sufi or a Hindu, so I can't be soulful. No. Some of the greatest soulful people on the planet are not particularly religious. And then, Lorelei, when I have found my soul inside me, my depth, then I can bring it into what I do. So as I'm talking to you now, I hope I'm bringing a quality of soul. I hope that I'm embodying it, because you are allowing me, my dear friend Lorelei, to walk through a gateway into soul. So I thank you for offering me this beautiful gateway, that I'm talking to this beautiful person in front of me.
And to other, I don't know, a couple of hundred people which are looking at us and listening to us this evening, hopefully. Well, as far as I could see, I told you, my dear friends, that I already read this book, which is splendid indeed. There are, in the final of each chapter, there are a couple of affirmations and statements and exercises to do So one can use indeed this book as a work by himself.
Yes, and
Was this purpose? This was the purpose of it?
well, the purpose is that it's for two kinds of people. It's for people who know nothing about soul, but their lives are in crisis. There's a lockdown, there's a coronavirus. They're saying, I'm not happy. I need to change my life. What's wrong? And I can't earn more money at the moment. How am I going to be happy? So it's for those people. Maybe being happy is not having a bigger house or a bigger car or more prestige. Maybe happiness comes through going inside and going deeper into yourself. So it's written for those kinds of people who are new on the scene and they realize, yeah, I'd like to become a little bit more spiritual. I'd like to do something more to help the planet. Those are the first lot. The second lot are people like you who are lovely people who serve the planet and make a difference, just to give a little bit of extra guidance. Because the only difference between you and me is that we're both soulful people, but I'm a bit older than you, so I've made many, many, many more mistakes in my life. And it's out of my mistakes that we learn about soul. In fact, Lorelei, there's a crisis called the dark night of the soul. So it's very often in times of pain and crisis, a tragedy happens, we lose a person we love, we lose our money, we have a bad illness, we go deep inside, all our old world explodes. Often in those painful times, our soul life, we find the key to open the little closet inside us where our soul lives. And I think on the planet, we're going through a dark night of the soul. All of us, a collective dark night, not just a personal, but one that is embracing all of us. And we don't know what's going to happen in 6 months from now. Is the virus going to get worse? Is it going to die out? Will we return to our old realities? Are we going to be able to work in our same jobs? The outside world is uncertain. Therefore, we need to learn to ground ourselves more in our inside world.
Right. And tell me, how come what is bringing us your book is specifically into this time of corona and after pandemia and after lockdown? What does it bring to us?
Can you frame that? I don't quite understand your question. What does it bring to us? I don't quite understand.
Your book is specifically able to help us through this time of coronavirus.
Well, I think so, because it teaches us to learn to discover who we are. Because the more Lorelei and Serge, the more you and I learn to discover who we are inside ourselves, the more we're going to discover our souls. So it's a book that teaches us to go inside, because I think that the deeper we can go inside ourselves, the more good we can do outwardly for the planet. So the purpose of finding our souls is not just so that we can sit here happy. Yes, I found my soul, I'm happy, but how can I bring more soul out in the world? How can I touch everyone I meet? The work I do, the journeys I do, the lectures I give, how can I touch the world with more soul? And I think that that's the important thing.
And can one use the knowledge with this book through regular therapies? Are you using it with your patients?
Yes, I do. Yes, I work with people and I tell them to read a chapter each week, and then we work sort of with it, and they do the exercises at the end of each chapter. I do it with some people, but not with everyone. You need to work in a little different way with everyone. The main thing I do in my work, Lorelei, is that people come and stay with me and they do a week's personal retreat. I just focus on one person. I used to teach spiritual retreat for 20 people. Now I prefer to focus on one person or a couple. And then we work with everything about their lives. So it's a little kind of different way. I haven't been doing this, because of our shutdown. But the interesting thing is that I've just been thinking is that, wait, do I have a mask? Yes. That the more we put that although we're having to wear masks on our face, is that the more soul we have, the unreal mask that we wear, that we think is who we are, it begins to drop. In other words, Lorelei, we're getting more real. You and I are not who we think we are. You may think, we're a lovely person, this and that, and I've got this personality, but that's just the surface. And what I'm noticing in this pandemic is that people are getting more real, and people are getting more frightened, but they're also getting kinder. I'll tell you a really nice story. When we shut down, I didn't know that my neighbors who live on either side of me, we lived our own little lives. And then at 7 o'clock every evening, we'd all go and clap, and I'd go out and play the guitar and sing songs and annoy everyone. But we got to meet. And so I've met new friends. And so I think the world is changing. I think soul is coming into the world, and I feel hopeful for the world. Perhaps things may need to get worse, but the world is full of wonderful people. And in order to come fully into our wonderfulness, we need to also see the worst in us. And I think that Donald Trump is giving America a gift, because this man embodies everything that is most soulless about the Republican Party and America. In every way, there's not a single quality of soul. He has soul, but it's very tightly hidden inside him. But we have to see how terrible it is when soul does not appear. And it's so interesting that although we have these strong men, authoritarian dictators who are the rulers of many countries, they're beginning to be threatened. And I have a suspicion that in 10 years from now, we're going to see less of these so-called strong men, but really they're weak, sort of mama's boys who have to control everything. We're going to see less of them. And I hope in Belarus that this Lev Tushenko, or whatever his name is, you look at him, that little moustache, and you see what a little human being, a tiny little man, from a soul perspective, what a small human being. And they're all and they're all very small, these human beings. We're asked to be, our challenge is that we all need to become bigger, more expanded, embrace more dimensions of who we are. And that's what soulful is about. We're too small. What's wrong with the human race is that we're too small. We live our little blinkered lives. You know what a friend of mine said recently, and I so agree. It's Jim Garrison, you know him.
Yes, yes.
And he said, the solution to the world would be if for 2 years all the male leaders stepped down and women came into their place. For 2 years, we would have a transformed world. Because isn't it interesting that in those countries ruled by women, the coronavirus has been dealt with? My daughter is in New Zealand at the moment, and she's doing a degree there. And the New Zealand, Prime Minister dealt with this in the right way, and there's no cases at the moment. So I think we're moving into a new phase where the old patriarchal mindset that has dominated with control and war and violence and machodom and the left brain and rationalism, it's reached the end because it's not working. And the soul is feminine. It's not masculine. The soul is feminine. And I think that the goddess energy, the female energy is returning. And I think, my dear friend Lorelei, that you're a very good example of the new kind of woman who is soulful and female and very feminine, but you're also strong, and you're a businesswoman, and you're purposeful, and you do things in the world. So we need more people like you in the world, because it's the Lorelei's of this world who are going to save the world, not us men,
Hopefully, we are working for it.
Yeah.
So now we could see indeed this spiritual activism, as I knew you as a spiritual activist. We could see it properly. I always used to think, what is this about? Is Serge going to get a lightful soul and fight with the world using light? But now you are doing it beautiful, in a beautiful.
I'm the Jedi. I've got my light. But no, seriously, I think we all need to be activists for a transformed world.
Right.
And we need to be activists in the areas that touch our hearts. I like whales, but I'm not going to work to go on Greenpeace and get in front of Japanese trawlers to stop them killing whales. I'll give a little donation to Greenpeace, but where my activism is more of a spiritual nature. I want to take a stand that we need to be warriors for a better world. We need to embody it in the way we talk, in the way that we act, in the way that we love. And I think that we all need to think of ourselves as activists to make the shift from being part of the problems of our world to being part of the solution. And that means that if we have any investments in armaments or in petrol, we get our investments out and we put them into alternative technology, into sun and wind, so that we stop consuming so much and we learn to conserve more. We learn to do, in fact, I've got a chapter here, if I can just find it, on inner work in action. And I took talked about 14 ways to work to make a difference. And if I can just find it, yep. And the first is to live more mindfully, to eat more healthily, to look after our body, to do a sport that we love, to treat everyone we meet with integrity and kindness, to consume less and conserve more, to recycle and not dump our stuff. And that also means that we don't dump our emotional stuff on others as well as our physical stuff, that we need to cultivate gratitude. We must never do harm and hurt people. We need to pray, and we need to have animals around us. I have my lovely little dog who's not in the room at the moment because she often barks.
Yeah.
And the last thing is that we need to feed our soul with what makes our hearts sing. So what makes my heart sing is talking with you. So in this interview, by talking with you, my soul is being fed.
I'm so happy to hear about this. And as you were talking about this goddess, I remember on one of our talks, there we talk about prayer as a dialogue between us, between yes. Who am I and the source, God, goddess, whoever it will be. And indeed, I think it is very valuable for all of us, especially in those times.
I absolutely agree. I think that we need to learn to communicate with the divine worlds more. And it can be very simple. That there was a man who wrote a lot of books called about talking with God. And they were very, very popular. Walsh, I think, Neil something Walsh. I met him once, a very, very lovely man. And I think we need to talk with the divine. And especially we can do it out in nature. When I go out in nature, I like to take myself on soul walks, S-O-U-L walks. And I thank the trees for their beauty. I ask the power of nature to come into me and to uplift me and to heal me. I will thank the beauty of life around me. And so I'm always filling myself with soulful qualities of joy and peacefulness and kindness, because I think that they're important sort of qualities to cultivate. However, that said, we must not, repeat not, neglect our dark side, because we all have a dark side. And it's a lie to feel that for me to believe that I don't have a side inside me that may be manipulative, that may have aggression, that may be unkind. And we need to own our shadow side, because all racism, all Islamophobia, homophobia is all a projection of our shadow side. So if we're going to be soul warriors, we need to take on the evil of the world and not add to it, because there is tremendous evil in the world, and we need to see it for what it is. In my last book, I think I have a copy of it somewhere around, called Awakening, called Awakening the Universal Heart. I talk a lot about how strategies that the warrior activist deals with evil, because it's there. And so we mustn't pretend that it's all nice, that all the world is nice, because there's a lot of horrible people, there's a lot of horrible things, and we need to be warriors and take it on and be giraffes and stick our neck out and not be ostriches who want to bury our head in the soil.
Beautiful, beautiful. So my friends, we can find, all of us can find Serge's books on Amazon, please. There are indeed beautiful. Thank you so much, Serge, for giving.
I'm just going to say one more thing.
Yes.
If there's anyone who is listening who would like to do a session with me for free, who's in crisis, who is suffering, I offer that up. And I say this not because I'm some goody-goody kind person, but I think that we all need to help our fellow human beings at this time in the areas where we can. I think the very wealthy people need to help the very poor people. I think all of us who have something that we can offer that makes a difference, we need to give it away. And we need to think more in terms of giving, because it's very, very important. I would love to see a new kind of economy where we gift things to each other. So please, if anyone would like to be in touch, you send an email to me. You can look me up on my website. Just send an email. We'll arrange a time and we'll talk for an hour. I'm so happy to do that.
Thank you so much, Serge. It's so kind of you. Thank you, thank you. It was an amazing talk. I really, really appreciate, and I'm sure our friends really appreciated it also. And let us see each other healthy, in a good shape, happy and grateful, with gratitude.
And filled with abundance and joy.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, my dear Lorelei, my dear friend. Thank you very much indeed. Much love to you. Thank you so much.
Much love. Bye-bye.
Încearcă noul izvor Aqua Carpatica, la fel de pur și cu gust unic datorat concentrației speciale de săruri. Aqua Carpatica din România, patria apelor minerale. Să înțelegi femeia dincolo de tot ce poți vedea, ascunsă toată în eleganța sa, în chicoteli sau rochii colorate, în prea mult roz sau un miros de carte, în pasiuni sau într-o zi de joi, la un pahar de vin în doi. Chardonnay domeniile sâmburești, un vin care înțelege femeile.
Hey everybody, it's Tony Robbins. I've been working for the last 2 months to create an environment where I can deliver Unleash the Power Within for you at home. If you'd like to unleash your strength, your ability, then this is the opportunity for you to do it.